God lived in the coffee maker on deck 4. Only Gamma knew. But Gamma didn't make it out that way very often, because it was a long journey through the outer halls, and he always had schoolwork, and also the door wanted to kill him. Gamma eyed the doorway carefully. Sure, it looked wide open. The door was recessed in the frame with all its indicator lights off. A less wary organic might march right through and ask God a question, but Gamma knew better. He remembered. How long had it been? 4,000 days. No, he had been counting for 4,000 days, but there had been many more days before that, indistinct and unchanging, between the day Mu went out the airlock and the day Gamma started keeping track, secretly scratching a metal line below his bunk every night when he went to bed. And it had been even longer since the dishwasher killed Kai, even though Ejubot denied it and tried to pretend Kai had never existed at all. Gamma didn't start counting after Kai died, but he didn't know he would need to. Gamma was a young and naive 11-year-old back then. How much time passed between Kai's death and the day Gamma turned 12, God only knew. 4,000 days ago, Gamma was 12. Today, Gamma was 12. That's what Ejubot said. But Gamma had taken Calculus 9 enough times to know the math didn't add up. Somebody was lying. Gamma stuck out his arm and waved it in the doorway. The recessed door didn't react. The threshold was covered in a layer of dust undisturbed by machine tracks or organic feet. It was possible the door hadn't closed at all in the last 4,000 days. If anything, that just made it more dangerous. The door was patient. Spencer whirred his brushes apprehensively. Gamma had told him to stay behind. But the small vacuum bot came anyway. It was futile to try to get him to leave Gamma's side. "Shush," Gamma said. Spencer repeated his apprehensive whir, but quieter. It didn't matter. The door knew they were both there, even if it was pretending to be dead. It had a ghost. Gamma looked back down the abandoned hall. It wasn't too late to return to the colony ship. If he ran at full speed, he might still make it to class in a few hours, assuming he didn't cross paths with any other hostile digital life. That was a big if. But by some miracle, he had made it this far safely enough. There was no sense in pressing his luck. Better to return to the colony ship and live to take Calculus 9 a 6th time. Gamma took one last look at the door and the coffee machine, then turned and walked away. He dragged his feet a little and did his best to whistle, even though he had never learned how. Spencer pivoted to watch him go. He remained beside the door. 20 meters down the hall, Gamma changed direction and sprinted toward the door. He jumped and planted both feet right before the threshold. His balance wavered, his torso leaning forward, both arms windmilling. He regained his balance and fell backward, away from the door. He landed hard on his tailbone. The door remained inert. It was a cunning foe. Spencer rolled forward and bumped gently into Gamma. "I'm fine," Gamma said. He stood and brushed off his dusty hands against his jumpsuit. Other than his own foot, and now hand and butt prints, and Spencer's narrow tracks beside them, there was no sign of life in the hall. Nothing had been down this way for a very long time. God chose this place for a reason. He liked to be alone. "Can you hear me?" Gamma shouted through the open doorway. The coffee maker remained as inactive as the door. God might be all-knowing, but his ears could use some work. Spencer rolled through the doorway. "Spencer, no!" Gamma said, but it was too late. Spencer was already on the other side. The door didn't react. Spencer rolled back and forth through the doorway. He wanted Gamma to follow. Gamma shook his head. That didn't prove anything. There were many doors with ghosts that let digitals pass freely, but that snapped at organics they didn't like. Even this doorway had let Gamma go through for weeks, or had it been months or years, before it attacked.